Sports fans, PBZ Sports Chaos. We're having a beer. It's happy hour. What do you got, brother?
This is a nice one. This is Funky Buddha is the brewery. It's in Oakland Park, Florida, not too far from where I live. And this is their
Okay.
Hop Gun IPA. It's 7%. It's a
Nice.
I like it.
Mr. P has given me another fine IPA. It's called the Sip of Sunshine from Lawson's Finest Liquids. I don't know where that is, but it's a tasty little alcohol. I'm enjoying it.
Nice. Cheers, brother.
All right, it's Friday the 13th, man. Crazy stuff happens, as we all know. Apparently, 7 people have won whatever it is, the multi-million, whatever the lottery is on this day. So I didn't play it, but Wild Card Weekend. We're going to talk about that very much for this show. First, we have to talk about the Carlos Correa carousel. PB, this guy got a $340 million contract from the Giants. Field is physical. They declined it. Then he got a $312 million contract from the Mets. Field is physical. Declined it. And now he goes back to where he was for the Twins for only $200 million. But for a lesser term, 6 years. What do you make of that crap?
I don't know what to make of it. I mean,
I don't,
every time we talk about baseball salaries, and it just blows my mind.
it's crazy. The craziest thing is how is a guy that he played last year, he seemed healthy, and yet he has this bad problem that teams didn't know about. I don't know. Speaking of bad problems, though, I am back wearing my Red Sox stuff. This one's only to curse them because it came back to haunt them finally. They let Bogarts go. They thought Story was going to be the shortstop. He's out for the goddamn year. He's got a torn some elbow injury, which everybody knew he had because he couldn't throw from any further than second base. They're going to try to make him a shortstop. PB, they have no shortstop. They have no second baseman. They have no catcher, and they have no center fielder. That's the middle of your lineup in the infield, right?
Yeah.
You're screwed.
Yeah, you got to be strong up the middle in baseball, and that really is a problem.
Oh man, hey, the Bruins, unfortunately, I hate to report, as you probably know already, they lost last night to the Kraken, but the first time they've lost all year at home.
In regulation.
29 games.
In regulation, yep.
Yeah. Wow. But hey, the Celtics, they took care of the Pukes last night. They beat the Nets. Kyrie lost, so all's good. All right. PB, congratulations. You picked the Georgia Bulldogs. They blew out TCU last Monday night in the college football playoffs. I didn't see that coming. Horrible game. Good for you.
It's
Whatever.
tough. I mean, it's tough to lay 14, whatever we lay in, 13 and a half points in a championship game when teams have made it that far. But I've been playing this theory all year long about teams, they go off in a week and then they just have that was their Michigan was their championship, and they didn't come to play.
Good for you.
The line of scrimmage was dominated by Georgia, offensively and defensively. That's where the game was won.
Yeah, I thought TCU held on for a little while, especially when they made a 10-7 game. Jalen Carter was a non-factor most of the game, in my opinion, but everybody else played well. And he's going to be a consensus number 3, 4, 5 pick this year. So, hey, whatever. TCU, good job for them. By the way, they already lost their offensive coordinator. Lincoln Riley's brother, go figure, he's already jumped ship. He's gone to Clemson already to be the OC there.
Yeah.
So, hey, fantasy football. We had our Survivor Fantasy League. Who won that this year?
Max Needs is the guy's name. He goes by Maximos. He killed it. He had a great team.
By the way, how did you not win it? You had the number one pick. You had nobody miss any games, I don't think, for the whole entire year. Why didn't you win it?
Well, I did come in third, let me just say.
Oh, okay.
And, so at least I was in the money. And if I did, and if the Cincinnati Buffalo game got played, I had Josh Allen in that game, and he easily, I think I was only like 7 or 8 points out of second. So I would have finished second if that game had taken place. I'll take second out of 24 teams. That's not bad.
So, PB, we've had a back and forth. You obviously had a great year picking football. Your fantasy teams did well. You won our PB&Z pick sixes. You won our college foreplay. So you're the Wiz. We now call you the Wiz, apparently, right? But I have one question for you. I still don't believe that translates to real football.
Well, when you say real football,
here's a proposition. Do you think? Are you the typical fantasy fan in your opinion? Are you typical of the fantasy football fan?
I would say I'm a little hardcore, but yeah, I mean, I'm not too far off from the hardcore people.
Okay, so there you go. So I would say the majority of fantasy football fans, A, probably never played football, or B, only played till high school. C, never coached football in their lives. So here's what proposition for you. I would take the typical fantasy football fan in a 15-game regular season, 44 players out there. We get 22 each. I'll let you have 1A, and I'll take 1B at every position. And you know what? Not only do I think I would go 15-0, the next season I might win 14 straight and go 29-1. What do you think about that?
I would not disagree with you at all, but that's not what this is about. This is about us being, we're not playing and we're not coaching. We're analyzing other teams, other players, and other games. That's what I'm taking. I'm not taking credit for making those teams win. I'm taking credit for analyzing them to the point where I can understand where the strengths and weaknesses are.
Good point. It's much like Charles Lacodera back in the 80s and 90s when he used to have a little segment called Sports for Girls. And they would go, Charles would ask, hello, Melanie, what's a hat trick? It's when I hold a hat over my beep, 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 and walk on the stage. Basically the same thing, right?
Whatever.
All right, moving on. Let's go. Hey, the Wiz, we're going to talk some football here. We're going to do some picks. We're going to do our pick six winners and also against the spread. And we'll preview each one of these games. You ready for this?
Yep.
By the way, a couple fun facts. You've always said this the last 4 years we've done the show. 4 teams usually don't make the playoffs that were in last year.
5. It's 5.
All right. I read it's 4.
In the last 30 years, 5 teams that made the playoffs in the year before, at least, had not made it in the following year, except 2 of the years it was only 4.
Okay.
But every other year was at least 5, and sometimes it was 6 or 7, and I think this year 7.
So I read it. It's usually 4 teams is what I read statistically on ESPN.com. This year, you're right. It's 7.
Yeah. Yeah, the 4 is wrong. I have it documented all the way back. So I'll challenge it. You know better than ESPN.
I think I might have got it from Wikipedia. You know how that goes. Hey, by the way, so the 4 teams that weren't there last year was Seattle, Miami, Jacksonville, the Giants, Baltimore, the Chargers, and Minnesota. Ironically, every one of those games this year is a rematch versus their opponent.
Right.
Which I think is a first, if I'm not mistaken, right?
It very well could be. That is strange.
You have 7 quarterbacks playing in the playoffs this year who have no playoff experience. That's the first time as well, right?
Yeah, there's some interesting facts going into this playoff.
If I said to you at the beginning of the year, Skylar Thompson, Geno Smith, Brock Purdy, Anthony Brown, Justin Herbert, Daniel Jones, and Trevor Lawrence are going to start games this year in the playoffs. You might have picked, 3?
Yeah, maybe just Justin Herbert.
It's unbelievable, right? All right, so let's get to these games. Let's start with the first one. Seattle versus San Fran. San Fran's a 9-point favorite. He's a rookie quarterback. Brock Purdy is on quite the roll. He's 5-0. I believe he's the highest QBR in December and January, if I read that right?
Yeah. There's a lot of there's 3 teams this week I don't think have a chance of winning at all. The first of which is Seattle. San Francisco is just a better football team, not only offensively, but defensively as well. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a blowout. It should be a blowout. And I got San Francisco. I know we're just picking the games this week, but we'll be going on through our weeks. I got San Francisco going all the way to the dance this year. I think they're the best team in the NFC by far, too. So no problem here in the first round with Seattle.
So do you have them covering as well?
I have them covering the 9, and I also have them obviously straight up.
So my concern, though, is at one point in time, the last pick in the entire NFL draft has to finally play like the last pick in the NFL draft. It may not be Seattle, but Pete Carroll is not a bad coach. Matter of fact, to me, he's pretty close to the coach of the year. He's in the top 5. And he's a defensive genius, by the way. He was a defensive coordinator before he became a head coach. So I gotta say, San Fran wins, but I think Seattle covers. In that, my opinion, on that I think they find a way to solve Brock Purdy a little bit. But you're right; they have too many weapons, and their defense is too strong.
Too many weapons. And even when Debo was down, Ayuk stepped up, and Kittle stepped up, and McCaffrey. There's too many weapons there, and I disagree with you in the sense that Purdy doesn't have to be excellent every single game. He just has to do enough to win. And
no, I know that he just needs to be. He just needs to be, a point guard. But at the end of the day, if he makes 2 or 3 mistakes that turn into turnovers into points, the game gets closer. And a guy like Pete Carroll, I think, could find a way to make them have 2 or 3 turnovers that gets points to make it closer.
Oh,
okay. They don't win. I think it's easily a touchdown game. I don't know about 9.
Okay, you got Seattle covering them. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Chargers at Jacksonville. This is probably the best game of the weekend, in my opinion.
Yeah, this could be a great game. This is probably the hardest one to pick. As
Mike Williams is out for the Chargers, which is a big, big blow.
Yeah, he is out, and I don't know how it's going to impact Keenan Allen. He's been playing lights out these last few weeks, but that's with Mike Williams on the field. So without Mike Williams, will that impact his ability? But you still got Eckler coming out of the backfield. You still got guys like Josh Palmer who could certainly step up. He was a key receiver earlier in the year when Allen was out of the lineup for quite a while, and you also have DeAndre Carter. So there's enough offensive weapons still there, and of course you got Justin Herbert to score points. And I don't think they'll have any problem scoring points on Jacksonville. The question is going to be, will Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne be able to run all over the Chargers defense like many other teams have done this year?
Yeah.
And it's in Jacksonville. So I do think Jacksonville's going to make this a game.
I do too.
And obviously they're a road favorite. So one of only 2 this week. There's only 2 road favorites this week, and the Chargers happen to be one of them. It's a close spread though. It's 1.5.
Right.
But we know if the game was back in Los Angeles, the spread would probably be 4 or 5, right? So I think Los Angeles is the better team. They got the better weapons. I love the way Jacksonville's playing. It's tough for me to pick against them, but I'm gonna pick against them here, and I'm gonna roll with the Chargers. And
I know G Money. By the way, G Money took in the previous game. He had San Fran both against the spread and to win. He's got Jacksonville to win and cover in this game.
Yeah.
I think Chargers win the game. I think it's a 1-point game though. I think Jacksonville hangs in there. They cover the spread.
Oh wow. Okay, so you're leveraging all your bets here. I see how you're doing this. Okay. So, wow. What do you think?
First of all, I think the other game's too big of a spread for a rookie quarterback, 7th round, number 261. And in this game, Jacksonville's too hot right now. So, and it's on their field. That's why I say that.
You got the Chargers winning, but Jacksonville covering the 1.5-point spread.
I think it's a 1-point game.
So that it has to be for you to win both. Otherwise, you're going to lose one of those.
Correct.
I got the opposite of G Money. G Money has Jacksonville and they cover. I got the Chargers and they cover the 1.5.
The bottom line is Jacksonville wins. I mean, LA wins the game, like you say, in my opinion.
Okay. All right.
That's what you say too, right? LA wins.
I got the winning and covering. I mean,
by the way, if there's one non-division winner that might make the Super Bowl, the Chargers is probably the only one. You agree? Non-division winner.
Well, here's what I do think. I think the Chargers will match up well in Kansas City in the next round, because if the Chargers win, they're playing Kansas City, right?
I mean, they've seen them too many times. It's no longer a mystery, right?
Yeah, right. Unless obviously, if Baltimore wins, they would play Kansas City. If Miami wins, they're going to play Kansas City. But I don't think either of those 2 teams have a shot. No. So, assuming they both lose, the Chargers win, they go to Kansas City in the second round. That's probably Kansas City's biggest fear in the second round is playing the Chargers. You don't want to have a divisional game, right?
I would agree. And by the way, what they split during the regular season, right?
I believe so. I have to
Yeah,
double
yeah.
check. I believe so. Yeah.
So, all right, let's pick the next one. Miami Buffalo. This is a 13.5 point favorite for Buffalo at home. Skylar Thompson starts for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
The last game was the best game in the playoffs. This is the worst game in the playoffs. I'm taking Buffalo all the way up to 20 points.
Yeah, I am too. And I think G Money is too. It's a clean sweep, laying the points. And I'll tell you what, when you go to a game in person, you appreciate a lot more about what's going on, right? Because on TV, you see what they want you to see, and you're seeing like the skill position. You're not seeing all the plays fully develop and what's going on there. And I'll tell you, Miami did not look good against the Jets defense. I know the Jets defense, you can make an argument, is maybe it could be better than the Buffalo defense. Pretend you can make the argument.
I mean, they held them to 9 points on paper.
Well,
right? Safety was not against the defense.
And that's my point. And then on the other side of the ball, it was just the only thing I think that Miami could do in this game is because Buffalo will score. That's going to make Miami do other things and maybe score some points. Because if they only put up 9, they got the safety, the defense scored 11, right? But they only put up 9 points. How the heck are they going to put up points against Buffalo, right? And the only way that's going to happen is when Buffalo goes up 21-0 or 28-0, and Jets are like, oh, crap, we have to score. And they just run the hurry-up offense, and they'll score a couple touchdowns that way.
PB, here's the underlying question here, and we're going to have this later on when we get to the Baltimore City game, though, is Tua. I mean, is this it for Tua? I mean, is it possible they walk away from him because of his concussion-prone syndrome?
I mean, it's possible. I mean, you can't afford to pay a guy that's not going to be on the field.
No?
And obviously, with him on the field, there's a big difference. I mean, Waddle,
this game would be a lot closer. This would be a different game. I might even be tempted to pick Miami if he was playing.
They're based. I mean, those two receivers, Hill and Waddle, they broke all kinds of records this year. That was the best 1-2 punch, I think, in NFL history. Right?
Correct. Yes.
So
if Teddy was in the game, I think it would be closer. But Skylar Thompson, no offense to him, but you can't ask him to keep this game close.
No. Nope. Buffalo's going to.
So the Tua thing is going to be a problem for Miami in the offseason, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean,
we'll talk about that in the offseason.
Usually come out of concussion protocols in a couple of weeks, and he's been sitting in it now for longer. So, yeah, he's got some damage.
Yeah, he does. All right. Hey, New York Giants, they play against Minnesota at Minnesota. Minnesota's the 3-point favorite. Again, another repeat game. Minnesota won in week 14, I think it was. Daniel Jones has been looking pretty good in December. Another quarterback that shined well in December. What do you think, though? It's on the road. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Minnesota is, they've played big in big games, but when they've been bad, right?
Correct, yes.
And they did that against teams like Philadelphia and like Dallas, right? Some of the better teams in the league. I don't think the Giants will fall into that equation for them. I think they can take care of them. I am going to take Minnesota. I'm going to lay the 3. So I'm going to take Minnesota. I think this could be, at best, for the Giants, they do lose by a field goal, and this ends up being a push. But I think when you look at the weapons, Cousins, we know he's very capable of putting up 350, right, yards in a game. We know Dalvin Cook can be a beast. We know you got Justin Jefferson, the best receiver in the entire National Football League. And KJ Osborne
today.
Yeah, and KJ Osborne's been really nice compliment to that. In the event where Adam Thielen isn't having his game, and he could always have a game as well. Offensively, I don't see any problems with this. With it, the question's going to be how effectively can Danny Jones and Saquon Barkley move the football, because you can't rely on the Giants receivers. You got guys like Richie James and guys like Hodgins and Slayton. I mean, those are your guys. They're all like wide receiver 3s on some teams in the NFL. So I'm gonna take Minnesota, and I'm gonna lay the points.
I'm with you. I know G Money. Believe it or not, he has New York not only winning but obviously covering, because Minnesota's the favorite, right?
Right.
I just don't see it, man. I just don't see it at all. Not at home in Minnesota where they play well on the turf. So, all right. Baltimore, Cincinnati. Lamar is not playing. And by the way, we're going to talk about more about the Lamar situation in a moment, but let's talk about the game first. We get undrafted Anthony Brown because Tyler Huntley is still not ready to go. So another game where we got a third string quarterback playing. I love Baltimore. I know some people. I actually read somewhere today where people think that because Baltimore plays tough defense, J.K. Dobbins, which was the best running back in the league in December, could run all over them. I don't see it happening. Cincinnati, I think Baltimore covers an 8.5-point game. They can't win this game. Cincinnati wins the game.
Cincinnati wins the game, and you got Cincinnati winning, but Baltimore covering the 8.5.
I do.
Okay, and that's what G Money has.
Yeah, I saw that.
Cincinnati, and I think they're going to cover. This is another game. I said there's 3 teams this week that have no shot in winning, and Seattle's one of them. Miami was one of them, and this is the third one.
It's not hard. They got a third string quarterback, brother.
Yeah, I just don't think it's going to happen. And you know what? Baltimore without Lamar has sucked. They haven't even been okay. They've sucked. And Cincinnati's one of the hottest teams in the league right now. This is a blowout. This game's going to be 35-13 or something like that.
So let's talk about that Lamar situation for a minute, because I know you're not his biggest fan, but his record, I think, if I read this right, was like 47-15 in his career when he plays. So which tells you one thing. And they're less than 500 when he doesn't play. Their entire team is based around his style of play. So to your point, you're right. There's no way in hell they can win the game without Lamar playing, which goes back to why isn't he playing? I know he has a knee injury, and I know he came out last night on Twitter and said it's a little, it's worse than what people make it out to be. But a lot of people are questioning that. They think this is a holdout. What do you think?
I just reserve my opinion on that one. I don't know. I want to get into, accusing him or blaming him and stuff, but there's a good chance he may not end up with his organization next year. But I'll tell you, there's other teams that aren't in this type of situation. San Francisco, perfect example. They got Brock Purdy, right? I think if Dallas went down and Cooper Rush had a start, they wouldn't be in this position because the teams are very well-rounded. They're good teams all around.
That's a very early point.
Baltimore's not a well-rounded team. They're not.
But their game is based around Lamar being able to run for 1,000 yards. No other team in the NFL bases their point on their quarterback running for 1,000 yards.
Right. I'm agreeing with you. That Baltimore just goes from here with Lamar to completely off the cliff. Yeah. Whereas there's other teams that like San Francisco and Dallas, if they lose their starting quarterback, they're still
they can plug and play a little bit. You're right. So you know what? First of all, I'm going to tell you right now. You don't like Lamar. I like him, but I'm with you. They can't pay him Deshaun money because no one should get Deshaun's money. No one should get Deshaun's money. No quarterback should get Russell Wilson's money. No one should get Aaron Rodgers' guaranteed money either. Yeah. Good for Baltimore. You can't pay a quarterback that kind of money because look who these guys are. Russell's on the playoffs. Aaron's on the playoffs. Kyle's on the playoffs. Deshaun's on the playoffs. You can't ruin your team for that, right?
Exactly. Right. Because then you're in a situation where your whole team is your quarterback and nothing else can happen, right? Where these other teams, it's not the case. So I agree 100%. 100%.
All right, let's do that last one. Dallas, 2.5-point favorite, goes on the road to Tampa Bay. This one's got a lot of intrigue. Here we go. Yep. Couple little DYKs. Tom Brady is 7-0 in the playoffs in his career as an underdog. Cowboys have lost their last 8 road playoff games. Tom Brady has beat the Cowboys 7 straight times in his career. The Cowboys, Tom Brady has 35 wins as a playoff quarterback. Everybody else in the league is, other than the Patriots with 37 and the Pittsburgh Steelers with 36. This game has all the history in the world going on the line.
And in the last 9 years, in every odd year, Tom Brady has won the Super Bowl. And
there you go.
Here we are in another odd year. So, or even year, whatever, because it's going to be 2020. No, we're in the 2023. Yeah. So every odd year.
2023.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of things. And for that reason, all these things are leaning towards Tampa Bay. Dallas is obviously favored on the road, which says something. They're the better football team. They're the better team. I mean, let's look at it. I mean, the one thing that Tampa has going for them in this game is Jensen is back. Ryan Jensen's back, and he helps protect Tom Brady up
Is
the
he
middle.
back? Oh, I heard he was questionable.
I believe he's starting, and
Okay.
with him starting, Brady, because we all know what Brady's weakness is, right? You rush him up the middle because he's
Up the
not
middle.
rushing out of pocket and throwing on the run. He
Yep.
steps up, and if you can stop that from happening, and we know how fierce Dallas's D is, but here's the thing: the Dallas will stomp the hell out of you with their defensive line. And when you get Micah Parsons in the mix on this whole thing, and when he rushes and when he drops back and covers maybe a quick guy in the slot, or he's covering a back or whatever, to me, Dallas will dominate this game defensively, and they'll do what they have to do offensively to win. Tampa's not going to score that much. Tampa's going to score 17, 20 points maybe. I think Dallas can put up 24, 28 easily in this game. I'm taking Dallas. I'm laying the points.
Here's my only concern. So I read this just the other day. Dallas defense on a turf is number 3 in the league. On grass, they're like 25, 26. Micah Parsons, 13 and a half sacks on turf, 11 games. 6 games on grass, 1 sack. So Tampa Bay happens to play on a
regular field,
grass field, right? So therein is the challenge for Dallas. Not so much being at home, it's what the field turf surface is. That's my concern. I'm with you. I believe that everything we've seen up to now, last week against the Commanders was, by the way, it was a complete shit show. Most embarrassing thing I've seen as a Dallas Cowboy fan in almost 35 years. But I still think at the end of the day, they can get this done because Tampa Bay hasn't shown anything for a while. Does Tom pull something out of his hat? Possibly. But I just don't see it at this point in time. I'm with you. I know G Money, he likes Tampa.
He likes Tampa to win and cover, of course.
All right.
Because they're underdogs.
I just see Dallas winning and covering, like you.
I got it.
I may be wrong because I'm a little bit of a homer, but but I think this is the end for Tom. Do you agree?
I don't know. I think if he gets blown out, maybe he'll sit back and say, "Hey, this is time for me to hang up my cleats." I don't know. If they play a tough game, I don't know. I think he's going to be back next year. I really do.
I mean, I think he is too, but I would wish he just retired because I don't know. Hey, but another little fun fact. Tom Brady, number 3 quarterback rating in the league when he's throwing under 2.5 seconds. But when he throws over 2.5 seconds, number 27.
So can the Dallas defensive backs get locked up on those receivers? Because that tells me you have to play as a man, right? To eliminate that?
In my opinion, is Dallas does. I know Trayvon Diggs, everybody thinks he's awesome. He's not that good. He gets a lot of interceptions on bad throws. They gotta blitz Brady. They have to absolutely blitz Brady at the end of the day and make him throw under 2.5 seconds.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. Nice show. We'll see what happens. Playoff football. We love it, right?
Absolutely, man.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.